Hello, everyone, and welcome to our video presentation of linguistic variation in the classroom. We're students from NEMI sociolinguistic course, and today we'll explore how language diversity manifests in educational settings. This video is designed for future English teachers like ourselves to better understand how factors like age, gender, socioeconomic status, and others influence how students communicate. Our goal is to promote inclusive and context-aware teaching practices. This video is the result of the hard work of our entire team. Each of us will explain a key concept with clear example. Let's begin. Now, let's dive into our first variable, age. Age significantly influences how people use language. Different generations often use different vocabulary, grammar, and even pronunciation. Imagine a classroom with both teenagers and adult learners. A teenager might say, "That lesson was so lit, I totally vibe with it." An adult learner might say, "The session was quite engaging and insightful." Both are expressing enjoyment but using different generational expression. As teachers, we must recognize and value these differences. We can bridge generational gaps by acknowledging both styles and teaching students how to adapt language to different contexts and audiences. In conclusion, understanding linguistic variation, whether due to age, gender, register, or other factors, is essential for creating inclusive and effective learning environments. As future educators, it's our responsibility to honor this diversity and use it to enrich our teaching. Hi everyone, let's talk about how socioeconomic status influences language in the classroom. Socioeconomic status refers to a person's social and economic position in society based on factors like income, education, and occupation. These directly affect how people speak, not because one way is better, but because language reflects our social experiences and opportunities. Let me give you an example. Imagine two students. One from a lower income background might say, "I ain't got no pencil." Another from a more privileged background might say, "I don't have a pencil." Both are communicating the same idea, but using different grammatical structures. The first uses a non-standard dialect, often found in certain social groups. It's not wrong, just different. As future English teachers, it's crucial to understand this. Instead of correcting negatively, we can validate the student's language while teaching the standard form for formal context. For example, we might say, "I understand what you mean." In writing or formal presentation, we usually say, "I don't have a pencil." This approach respects identity while expanding linguistic skills. So, socioeconomic status isn't about right or wrong language, it's about diversity. Recognizing this helps us build inclusive classroom where every student feels valued and capable. Thanks for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Karelis, and in this group project, I'm the Visual and Creativity Coordinator. My job is to make sure our explanations aren't just clear, they are also visual, engaging, and memorable. And today, I'll be explaining two key sociolinguistic variables, sociolect and register. Let's start with sociolect. A sociolect is the way of speaking that's characteristic of a particular social group, like teenagers, artists, or people from certain professions. It's not about geography, it's about identity and belonging. For example, a group of friends might say, "That's fire." while lawyers in a court might say, I object, Your Honor. Same language, different social words. Now let's talk about register. Register refers to how formal or informal our language is, depending on the situation. For example, talking to a friend, hey, wanna grab some pizza? But in a job interview, I would be delighted to join your team. Same person, different registers, because context changes everything. Why does this matter for us as future English teachers? Because our students will use different social acts and registers, and that's okay. Our job isn't to erase their identity, but to help them to switch appropriately. We teach them this is how we talk with friends, and this is how we write an essay. That's how we build linguistic flexibility and respect. So remember, socialite equals social group. Register equals level of formality. Both are tools for understanding and teaching real language in real contexts. Thanks for watching.
One of the linguistic variable is code switch, which occur when a person switches between or two or more language in the same conversation or without a community. The following example apply to the classroom. In a classroom, when students are learning English, teacher, can I close the door? It's cold. Profesor, ¿puedo cerrar la puerta que hace frío? In this example, we can see that the student switches from Spanish to English. The next variable is regional variation. This refers to variation that exist in a geographical area. They speak one languages but have different students from other regions, which varies in intonation, vocabulary, pronunciation, etc. The most common example in this classroom is the following. Teacher, I forgot my feet for art class. Profesor, me olvidé la pluma para la clase de arte. Teacher, I forgot my pencil for art class. Profesor, me olvidé el lápiz para la clase de arte. Here we realize that in Mexico, the word feather is used to refer a pencil. In Ecuador, we call it a pencil. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Today let's talk about the language used in the classroom. So language use is a term that refers to the way students and teachers actually communicate in real situations. This includes vocabulary, grammar choices, tone of voice, interaction styles, and even the body language or non-verbal communication. This is not just about grammar rules or what is correct or incorrect. It's about how language is applied in daily practice. A concrete example, so a quick example is that we can imagine a teacher asking to a group, to a classroom, who can answer this question, for example. And one student might simply say me, but another student can say, I can answer this, or I can answer that. Both responses are correct, but the way they use language is different. So the first is short and informal, and the second is more complete and formal. So sorry. Both choices show different styles of language used in the same classroom. So as a future English teachers, it's important to pay attention to these patterns. If a student uses a very short or informal answers instead of correcting them harshly, we can model a fuller version. For example, we might say, great. And you can also say, I can answer that. So this way, the students expand their language use naturally without feeling criticized. So in conclusion, the language used is not only about what students say, but also how they say it. By noticing these differences, we can guide students to develop richer and more flexible communication skills. Thank you.
We hope this video has been insightful. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and share if you found it useful. Goodbye and happy teaching!